have the pleasure of sitting here with Don Hammond, Kiwi from 1961 to 65. Played 20 tests for his country and scored 3 tries. Hails from the mighty Mount Albert club here in Auckland. Captain of the 61 Kiwis to England and France, of course. Was the 1964 Auckland and New Zealand Player of the Year. Named a New Zealand Rugby League legend in 2010. Coached Auckland and Te Atatu and was the player coach for Mount Albert, and currently is the president of the Kiwis Association and New Zealand Rugby League Museum Curator. Welcome, Don.
Thank you, Gordon.
Right, so I mean, let's start, Don, by when did you first start playing rugby league, mate? What can you remember?
Well, my father was asked to be a coach of the Mount Albert junior team. He knew nothing about rugby league.
Yeah, so what year was that? That was
1942.
1942.
I hadn't turned 6. I was a mascot for that team.
Okay.
But when they shot, I played.
Wow.
I played, and also I got weighed in at Carlott Park for the 7-a-side at 3 stone 4.
3 stone 4. Oh my gosh, that's so. Who inspired you? So it was your dad that inspired you to play rugby league?
More or less, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about your mum? Was she support rugby league?
Oh, well, occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I got home or had an injury, she said, "When will you give up that stupid game?"
Stupid game, yeah. So what about, if you remember back and you were sitting watching a Kiwi game, it doesn't, not necessarily a Kiwi game, but an international, and you thought, by crikey, I'd love to be part of that and play rugby league at international level. Can you remember any sort of game that stood out in your mind there?
Well, I listened to in 1952, I think it was, New Zealand played Australia on the radio.
Right.
Yeah, I heard that game.
Yes.
On the radio.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And our guys were whipping the Aussies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I was still at school.
Yeah.
At Mount Albert Grammar.
And what about for you? When did you think, by crikey, I'm pretty good at this game, and you've realised to yourself that you could probably make the Kiwis? Was there any particular time when you're playing and you thought, blooming heck, I'm pretty good at this, so I think I might give it a nudge at the top level?
Well, I guess really, like Brian, we were drafted into the school team, and we went off to Palmerston North for a week.
Okay, yes.
Training under Snow Telford.
Yep.
And then we played a Kiwi team at Carlott Park, and on the Saturday, having come up by train from Palmerston North on the Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were leading at half time, but the experience got us got the Kiwi squad over the line before
Wow.
we could get any more points on the board.
Wow. So at the time, around Auckland, what was the support that the game had? Was there?
Oh well, I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A golden era. You had some pretty good players around in the golden era for the game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I remember. Well, Cliff Johnson, he just had a appendix operation here, and he actually played for half a game.
What about the international game? Was there much interest in rugby league?
Oh, I think so. Yes, because I actually played in the curtain race to the 51 France-New Zealand game. Yeah.
And who were you playing for in that curtain raiser?
Oh, I think it was for the Auckland Rep side.
Auckland Rep side.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, some wonderful memories there. And so what about your very first game? You've been selected in the Kiwis. You've been given a test jersey. Those emotions for you and for your family to be selected.
The first game was overseas on the Australian tour.
Right.
yeah, and
So that's 1959?
yeah,
59?
yeah, and it was I can't remember the name of the town at the moment, but it was in country New South Wales.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in the change room, look around that change room, who have you got sitting in there, and you're pulling on the test jerseys, and all of a sudden you're playing with these guys. Who's in that changing room?
Oh, for the
For that
first
first test?
for the first
For your
test.
first test, yes.
Oh, first tests would have been Ronnie Ackland,
Right. Yes.
guys like Cliff Johnson,
Yes, yes.
yeah, and Brian,
Yeah.
and as a new, and I'm not sure about Rex Percy, whether he was on the back of the scrum.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been Mel Cook.
Mel Cook,
Yeah, it
right.
could have been Mel Cook. Yeah.
And as your
Well,
career progressed,
we were playing. We played Australia at Carla Park,
yes,
and Gary Phillips kicked a drop goal first. We won 12-10,
wow,
and of course the drop goals were worth 2 points,
2 points
in those days.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. Right, so just looking at the other tests that you played and players that you've played with in the other teams. Anybody else that stands out for you, Don?
Oh, Billy Deaking,
Yes,
yeah, and Reg Cook, and Brian, of course, Jack Fagan,
Jack Fagan,
and
yes, yes.
Billy Snowden,
yeah.
yeah.
Some wonderful memories there. So and everything has to come to an end, unfortunately, and you've decided to hang up the boots. You've laced up your boots for the last time. How did that feel? Any particular reason why you had to?
Well, it was at the end of the '65 tour to the UK and
Yes.
France, and well, it was costing really too much, both in time and money.
Yes, yes, yes.
For the first tour to the UK and France, I had 101 working days leave without pay.
Ooh.
Now, of course,
It's
professional football's today different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for Air New Zealand. I found out afterward. I actually asked them if I could get some half pay. I found out later on that if you were a government employee, you could get half pay.
Right.
And I understand that is where the All Black Sacks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's not a very good advert for you.
So when I approached in '65 the tour to UK and France, I went to talk to Air New Zealand again. So they agreed. I got half pay on that tour.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
And I know it's very hard to compare today's game to when you were playing, Don, but when we have a look at the fitness regimes that the players have, and we look at the Vodafone Warriors, of course, and the immense facilities that they've got up there, comparative to your day, there's a huge difference, isn't there?
Oh,
Huge
for sure.
difference,
Yeah. Continuous tackle.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
But the fitness must have been good then. And the fitness,
Well, yeah. Only training 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays
Yes.
nights
yes,
after work.
yep,
Well, sometimes if I was on shift work, I didn't get to training,
yep,
and so I used to run around the Whenua Park
yeah.
Air Base because that's where I worked.
So what sort of fitness work did you do? How did you maintain your fitness? What was it? Aerobic or
Mostly running.
running?
Yeah.
What about weights? Eh?
No.
No weights
No.
in those days.
No.
What about a test game? So you've got a week leading up to the test.
Weeks. I'm just trying to think. it might have been against Great Britain in '62. I lost half a stone while a week into the training. Yeah, we were out Cornwall Park.
Yes.
Yes, and
half a stone. Oh, heck, that's
Weight
Watchers.
I went down from about 13 and a half to about just on the 13 stone, and I was locking with Rodney Ackland and Mel Cook on the back.
You're in the engine room, of course. You know, you're a hard-working forward. Your injuries over your career, Don? Did you suffer many injuries?
Well, basically, just the cartilage on the left knee, and that I had that out in '58, and then I had a shoulder in the '60. But apart for that,
and so
an appendix.
Oh, an appendix. So you recovered from those injuries and you kept playing. So that didn't stop you from playing. You still recovered. You know, so you had pretty good treatment in those days.
But I also I was in, just as I got into Kiwis in '59, I was in the process of building my house. Out in the theatre too, so that kept me busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Incidents during your career, Don. You know, stuff that you wouldn't normally talk about, things that have happened when you've been away or you've been, you know, in New Zealand around rugby league. Incidents that wouldn't have made the media or would have been kept from the media. Some little secrets from you.
Can't remember that.
Yeah. You can't remember. Don't want to remember them. So is there anything that stands out for you at all? Or a test match? One, if you had to pick one particular test match?
I think Brian was involved in the test match down at Perpignan. Something happened in the tackle. And the crowd, because they were very close to the ground, and at Perpignan, he actually shaped up a couple of the crowd.
Oh, Brian Reedy did, shaped up to the crowd. Feisty little bugger he is. Yeah. So just, you know, you just mentioned about going to France, the travel, you know, the logistics around travelling in those days. And you've got people for Africa on the tours now that look after the kit and everything. It must have been a real challenge.
From Ilkley, and we went by bus to France.
Yes.
And we travelled by, our bus was an English driver. Yeah, and we went into Paris initially. We didn't play. We went to Bordeaux to play the first test.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so it's a real challenge there.
Right. Yeah, and I hadn't played against the French team at all. Yeah, we found that they were had some dirty tactics.
No, not the French. Not the French. So if I could ask you, Don, I mean, over your fantastic rugby league career, you played with some wonderful, wonderful players, and of course had some great coaches as well. Yourself being a coach also, who stood out in your mind that you've learnt the most from, that you've really respected?
Oh, I think Travis Hardwick was our first Kiwi coach. Yeah, and most impressive. He was a back row forward, and he really had his eye on fitness. Yeah, and guys are not drinking too much on tour.
Oh, please. Yeah. So can I ask you then too, Don? I mean, the teams that you've played, is anybody that you thought, oh no, not him again, I'm not shaping up to him again, that you had a bit of fear about some opposition players?
Well, not really.
Not really? No. And what about the most respected then? The most respected player that you would have played against? Does anybody stand out in your mind?
Well, I think probably Reg Ganson. He got his first tests against the Kiwis in '59.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we played against him in '62 in the Aussie team. Or '61 before we went off to the UK.
Yeah. And just in closing, Don, you think about everything that you've learned in the game and you're still involved in the game. Is there anything that you'd like to see change the way that the game's played today, or administration-wise?
I think if they went back to the one referee.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why do you say that? Do you think it slows the game up too much? Or?
No. I think with the two referees, it's double trouble, particularly in the NRL.
Yes.
It's double trouble for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you certainly wouldn't want to see two referees at the Test level, would you?
No, not really.
No, not at all. And just the final question, Don. Any regrets? Anything that you would have liked to have done in your rugby league career that you've never achieved? Anything that you're sort of now thinking, crikey, I wish I'd have done that?
No, I think I had a very good outing with the rugby league test series. Yeah, no, I don't. I would have liked to have played in the two tests in France, and I didn't get selected in '65.
Oh, okay.
That was only two. I think I could have made a difference in the particular one in the south of France.
Fantastic. Well, Don, thank you so much. It's absolutely fantastic being able to talk to you, and thank you so much for what you've done for the game.
Gordon.
Awesome.